When my daughter got married, I kept the $95 million secret, just to see who'd treat me with respect. Excuse me. I rose from my seat at table 9, the one by the coat check and the swinging kitchen door, interrupting a ballroom full of money, power, and polished silverware. 100 heads turned. The string quartet fell silent mid-chord. All eyes locked on me. I wasn't supposed to say anything. That much had been made clear in the planning emails. Let the Carringtons handle speeches, they'd said. You just enjoy the evening, Mr. Hale. But I wasn't enjoying the evening. Not after what I'd heard. Not after how they'd treated me. Before we proceed, drop a comment and let us know which city you're watching from. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a story. Now, sit back and enjoy. My name is Raymond Hale, and I've been a widower, a janitor, and a father for most of my life. Tonight, I was just the man in the brown suit who helped raise the bride. The man they'd seated near the back so he wouldn't clash with the marble and champagne. But I had something none of them expected. Truth. And $83 million. I stepped forward, slow and calm, like I had all the time in the world. My daughter, Celia, looked at me from the head table, confusion blooming behind her eyes. Her new husband, Donovan Carrington, shifted in his chair. His mother, Madeline Carrington, the queen of snide remarks and sideways glances, froze with her wine glass halfway to her lips. First off, I said, adjusting my tie, thank you all for being here to celebrate my daughter's big day. I know this isn't the traditional moment for a speech, but then again, not much about tonight has been traditional for me. A polite chuckle here. An uneasy silence there. I've sat here quietly, listening to speeches about wealth and legacies and family standards. I've been called modest, humble, even a man of limited means. I looked directly at Madeline. But here's what none of you knew. My late wife, Valerie, wasn't just a librarian in a small-town school. She was an investor. A damn good one. I pulled a folded sheet from my jacket. She started with just $20,000. By the time she passed, she'd grown it into over 80 million. Mouths fell open. I kept it quiet. I wanted to see who would treat me with dignity without knowing I could buy this whole hotel 10 times over. And now, standing in the grandest ballroom in Fairhaven, Pennsylvania, I finally let the truth ring louder than the orchestra. The room was silent. The day Valerie died, the world went quiet. Not just in the way people mean when they say, it felt quiet, I mean dead silent. The birds outside our porch in Fairhaven didn't sing. The traffic seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind that always teased the maple trees in our backyard went still. She was gone. We had been married 39 years. She was the kind of woman who spoke softly but left echoes behind. Valerie Hale, head librarian at Fairhaven Public Elementary. Kind to the bone. Fierce when it counted. And a puzzle, even to me. 3 days after the funeral, I found the key. It was taped to the bottom of her favorite tea tin, the one that sat untouched on the highest shelf of our pantry for years. Next to it was a note in her handwriting, the kind of graceful script people don't teach anymore. Raymond. If you're reading this, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I needed you to live free of the weight this kind of secret carries. Go to Fairhaven Trust, Box 118. Everything you need is there. Love always. Valerie. That note set everything in motion. At the bank, the box opened like a portal into a version of Valerie I never knew. Inside were years of investment records. Ledgers in her handwriting. Printed emails with financial advisors I'd never heard of. Stock certificates. Real estate documents. Gold, even. She'd started investing in the late 80s, quietly, methodically. Real estate during the dips, mutual funds before they exploded. She'd taken the small inheritance from her mother and treated it like a sapling, watered, pruned, and patient. And now? $83 million. 83 million. I remember sitting in the vault room, holding that final balance sheet, my eyes blurring. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even shocked. I was awed. And heartbroken. Not because she hadn't told me, but because she hadn't lived long enough to see what it could become. I asked myself that night why she'd kept it secret. The answer came to me while staring at the photo of Celia as a toddler, building castles out of wooden blocks. Valerie knew money changes people. And she wanted to make sure we raised a daughter who valued character before inheritance. Turns out, Valerie hadn't just been building wealth. She'd been building a test. And the Carringtons were about to fail it. From the moment I met the Carringtons, I felt like an actor in someone else's play. Their world was manicured and rehearsed, crystal chandeliers, three-fork place settings, and voices that never rose above a certain pitch. Even their smiles had a script. Celia brought Donovan home 6 months after meeting him at a law conference in Chicago. Tall, handsome, all teeth and charm. The kind of man who looked like he belonged on the cover of a corporate brochure. They sat on my porch, holding hands, drinking iced tea like they were already posing for a Thanksgiving card. "Dad," she said, "his family's kind of prominent. But they're kind. Kind." That's what Celia said. But when I met them, kind wasn't the word that came to mind. Madeline Carrington, Donovan's mother, sized me up before I'd even shaken her hand. Her eyes scanned my flannel shirt, my old boots, the porch swing I built with my own hands. She smiled, the kind of smile people wear when they've already made up their mind. She called me Mr. Hale, with an extra drop of politeness that felt more like distance than respect. "Celia is such a bright girl," she told me at dinner that night, stirring her soup but never really looking at me. "It's remarkable what she's accomplished, considering her upbringing." Considering her upbringing. As if we raised her in a swamp somewhere between nowhere and never. Donovan's father, Charles, was more direct. "You must be proud," he said, "to see your daughter marry into a family like ours." "Funny," I replied. "I thought she was marrying a man. Didn't realize she was marrying the whole family." He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. The closer the wedding got, the more I saw Celia trying to mold herself into someone that fit their world. Her laugh got quieter. Her wardrobe changed. She stopped mentioning her childhood, our town, her mother. Then came the final insult, the seating chart. "Raymond," Madeline said, smiling as she placed the diagram in front of me, "we've put you at table 9, it's close to the service door, so you won't be too overwhelmed by the crowd." Not overwhelmed. Just out of sight. That's when I knew, this wasn't a wedding, it was a performance. And they'd written me out of the script. What they didn't know was that I had a rewrite in my pocket, and it was worth $83 million. I left the ballroom not looking for applause, I left for clarity. The air outside the Fairhaven Grand was crisp. October wind tugged at my coat as I stepped out under the stars, alone. Behind me, that ballroom full of polished wealth sat stunned, a room full of people who had just seen a janitor flip their entire hierarchy on its head. And then, footsteps. "Dad, wait." Celia's voice. She was still in her wedding dress, breathless, heels in one hand, mascara streaked down her cheeks. I didn't turn around. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice cracking. "About Mom. About the money. About everything." I sighed. "Because your mother didn't want it to define you. And for a while, it didn't. But I let them treat you like you were less than." She choked on her words. "I thought fitting in was the only way forward." "No," I said, turning to face her. "Fitting in isn't the same as belonging." We stood there, side by side in the parking lot, surrounded by limos and lanterns, quiet except for the hum of a distant generator and the low rhythm of her breathing. I wasn't trying to embarrass you, I said. But I also wasn't going to let them bury me with polite disrespect. She nodded slowly. You didn't just marry Donovan. You married into a system that believes money equals character. That appearances matter more than people. And you started to forget who you are. Celia looked up, tears in her eyes. I remember now. Good, I said. Because this money, it's not for yachts or golf clubs. Your mother had a plan. I handed her the envelope I'd kept in my coat since the day Valerie passed, her handwritten instructions. She wanted to build something that lasts longer than wealth. A foundation. Full scholarships for kids from working-class families, kids with brains and fire in their hearts. Celia opened the letter slowly. I watched her read it. Halfway through, she started crying again. But this time, it wasn't regret. It was realization. She wanted me to help run it, she asked. When you were ready, I said. When you remembered who you are. She looked at me, really looked, and for the first time in months, I saw my daughter again. Not the bride in designer lace. The girl who once organized a book drive in 4th grade because someone in her class couldn't afford a library card. That girl was back. You coming back inside? She asked. No, I said, smiling. But you are. And this time, walk in like the richest person in the room. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're yet to do so. See you in my next video. Bye.